Hi, we are group four. We will be talking about the life of Washington mural. In order to understand the mural, first we need to understand who George Washington is. So exactly who was George Washington?
Well, George Washington was an American founding father, military officer, and politician who served as the first president of the United States from 1789 to 1797. Appointed by the Second Continental Congress as commander of the Continental Army in 1775, Washington led patriot forces to victory in the American Revolutionary War, and then served as president of the Constitutional Convention in 1787, which drafted and ratified the Constitution of the United States and established the U.S. federal government. Washington has become commonly known as the father of his country. In his 2 terms as president, he followed a policy of neutrality in international affairs and of expansion on the domestic front. Today, Washington is remembered as a national hero.
Very nice. And how would you characterize George Washington?
He's characterized as a blameless individual, and he demonstrated a will not to abuse his power.
Mm-hmm.
Also, George Washington helped shape the United States Constitution and establish important precedents for the presidency. Washington's leadership and commitment to the principles of democracy and independence made him a revered figure in American history. While Washington held the belief that Americans should have a strong central government and a single executive leader, he did not allow his biased views to sway the other delegates. Washington mainly participated to keep order and provide a deciding vote on a variety of proposals. But besides all of that, we obviously know George Washington from the $1 bill. On the topic of George Washington, we want to discuss the life of Washington mural created by Victor Arnautoff. Edgar, can you tell us exactly who Victor Arnautoff is?
Yeah, of course. Victor Arnautoff was a muralist born in Russia and lived in San Francisco, known as a socially conscious painter. He has painted a series of murals of George Washington in George Washington High School, San Francisco, California. His murals came under attack for expressing racism and critical times of some ethnic groups. However, his intentions were originally intended to serve only for educational purposes that provide students with a better understanding of American history. Now, Sean, can you give us some more information about what the intentions were in George Washington High School when Arnautoff created the murals?
Of course, as you can see on this slide, we see here the George
Uh-huh.
Washington High School in San Francisco. It was founded in August 4th, 1936.
Yes, and Arnautoff painted the life of Washington in George Washington in the same high school. And can you give us some more information about what intentions were in this high school when Arnautoff created the murals?
Yes, in this slide we see Arnautoff doing the mural in George Washington High School. He was a realist, so it can be said he never intentionally meant to call George Washington a white supremacist, although he did own slaves. Nor was it in his intention to say George Washington believed in genocide. His goals were to spread truth through his art, and what's shown through his art and life of Washington mural is what actually was occurring during George Washington's era. Once again, not to belittle his accomplishments, but to portray a wider knowledge of what was happening. He created the mirror to depict the contrary narrative that was not being taught in schools. Of course, this can lead to a lot of controversies.
Yeah.
Yasmin, can you tell us some of those controversies?
The
Mhm.
controversy over the motto is related to a debate about the history, figure, and the action. In recent years, some symbol and history figures have been debated due to the action in the past and how the people is feel in the present about the status that is in public place. In the case of George Washington, due to his complicated legacy that is related to slavery and colonized, some argument that should be eliminated. The decision was made in 2019 due to central that the concept of the payment could affect children. The motto describes aspects of George Washington's life, including a slave owner and white men stopping of a black copper.
Okay.
Now, let's get personal. Here are our opinions on these murals.
I had not previously studied the history of George Washington. What I hear was that he was the first president, one of the founders of the nation, and his face is in the dollar bill. Now I know that he had owned a slave. I also know that when he died, he gave freedom to all the people he had enslaved. History is about that, learning from the past, discovering things that we didn't know. I don't think history should be erased, but reason learn from that, it does not happen in the future.
Okay. Tanika, what do you think?
Personally, I believe that the high school was not an appropriate place for the mural. Learning that George Washington freed the slaves in which he inherited was enlightening. However, I would not feel comfortable with his mural being displayed as a high school student. I believe students should not have to be constantly reminded of the past, no matter their race. Yes, it is important that we teach history. However, I do understand how triggering the paintings can be. His painting belongs in a textbook or a museum and not proudly displayed in a high school. In my opinion, displaying the murals honor and praise things in which we as a nation have fought hard to overcome.
I actually agree with that completely. From my experience in high school, I don't believe I would have felt comfortable seeing this mural every time I walked to class. Although I do agree this topic should be taught, it allows a range of immature, ignorant comments for high school students to take advantage of.
Okay, from my point of view, I believe that these murals should not be removed as his intentions were only for historical educational purposes. History cannot be erased, so with these murals, I suggest to add panels with information that explains the meaning of these murals, so students can get a better understanding of the artist's intentions. Artwork can sometimes be confusing and a wrong message might be grasped, but with the information panel, students can understand better what the artist's intentions were.
I agree, the wrong message might be grasped, which is why I feel like everyone's first teacher is someone that's their parent or their guardian. With racism, you never know who was taught to show hate based on race. So that's why I definitely agree this should be only taught in textbooks, like Tanika said. Edgar, you got anything else you feel about
Yes,
this?
of course. And I see your point of view and why you think the mural should be removed and only be taught in class. But yes, I do agree that there are a bunch of immature students in high school that might have ignorant comments about this. However, besides the fact that art is beautiful, it is also powerful and is an easier, memorable way to learn history as these murals are intended to teach history. History should not be only taught in classes, as such artwork provides a visual narrative that will have a lasting impression on students. Art should not be underestimated, as such murals create a better understanding and a deeper learning for individuals.
So the Board of Education, before they made their decision, they had three different alternatives. They decided to either paint over it, place panels on top of it, or cover it with a curtain. And in June 18, 2019, the Board of Education made the decision to just cover it with a curtain. We, Group 4, gave you our opinions on this. We would like to ask you, the audience, what would you do? Would you choose between three different alternatives, or would you have implied a different alternative on your own? And that's our presentation. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.